Welcome to the World Networking Podcast. Today we're going to have Brose from BroseNation on with us, explaining his stream, what his background is with general work history, and kind of what keeps him going, keeps his content afloat. He's had quite a bit of experience in different industries, so I believe we had a really good discussion out of this. I'm going to be taking a trip in 2 weeks across the nation to move and resettle. So I'm releasing this a week early. So expect the schedule to be consistent when I get to my established place. I thank you for coming, and I do hope you enjoy the show today. Rose, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah. So basically, I started my channel in 2012, and I basically started working towards a more in-depth version of gaming. The biggest thing about like the channel and everything is that, it's been crazy just the amount of support that we've been getting over the past couple of like probably weeks, months, maybe. Um, I'm 27 years old. I've got 2 little kids.
Wow.
Yes. Yeah, I've got a 4-year-old and a 1-year-old.
That's a lot to juggle with streaming, I bet.
You have no idea. But the best part about it is that my 4-year-old, believe it or not, actually enjoys watching me stream. Shockingly enough, she actually, like, whenever I'm streaming and stuff like that, she typically is watching the live streams and stuff like that while I'm playing whatever game I may be playing.
How neat. That's
Yeah.
awesome to connect at that level.
Yeah, and then she's actually wanting to start getting into actually gaming herself, which is crazy in itself.
Oh, especially at that age. There's a lot of collaboration that goes into gaming, so it's not a bad thing, I think, to grow up playing some games.
No, not at all. It's like in all reality, there's multiple times where I wish that somebody would have just sat down with me and played.
Oh, absolutely. Even if it was like board games,
Yeah.
just the interaction itself is super bonding.
Yeah.
Bros, what's the best thing you've experienced in your fields of interest?
As far as like the best things that I've experienced with gaming, it would have to be the community that I've started to build. The people that I'm constantly involved with in gaming and things along those lines, the people that have been major portions and major parts of my channel in streaming.
It's not a bad thing to be thankful for in this the community's everything.
Yeah, the community is going to be everything no matter the situation. There are people out there that will, drag you down, but the biggest thing is that community that you create, they are the main supply of that dopamine to keep going.
Absolutely. Well, that begs the question, what are some of the core things that you've valued on this journey?
The patience, honestly. The amount of patience that I've gathered from doing the streaming and to just constantly work on it, because there was times where I didn't work on it, and there's times that I stopped just to take care of myself and my mental status. But I just kind of progressed forward, and that is one of the biggest things that definitely I've taken from it, is that amount of patience and the amount of patience that I have with new people and coming into streaming and teaching them how to do it as well.
Absolutely. I definitely think that would be interesting to be able to interact with people on that level.
Mm-hmm.
From your background around service and networking, what's the biggest struggle for you with this work?
Service, like the service and networking. Um,
Yeah,
as far as networking goes, it would have to be the social anxiety, because I do have a level of social anxiety, which I was reading through the questions that you had sent me before. And basically, we were like, I was sitting there and I was reading through them, and one of the questions that you asked there will be an explanation for my social anxiety in that specific question.
I understand. Um, what do you hope to get better at when it comes to networking?
Well, I would love to improve the ability to talk with people more openly about what my dream is for this channel. To progress the channel further. I would like to be more open about it because I know that um, there's not very many channels out there that do or want to do what I want to do with my channel. A lot of people are out here either, I'm not going to say everybody, but a lot of people are out in YouTube or on Twitch or on TikTok or Facebook for the money. That's not what I'm here for. I don't care about the money. I care more about making sure that the people that were like me when I was younger have somebody that can be there for them to connect with them type of situations.
Absolutely. I agree wholeheartedly. The message is bigger
Yeah.
than just paper currency in my
Hmm.
mind. I mean, I want to make things that will at least stay around in conversation. And if that's something that occurs, then that's great to me. That's success. Um,
Right. Success is one thing. And honestly, I want to be able to sit down with my kids one day and be like, this is what I did in the beginning, and this took me this long to create this process.
yeah, it's a do or don't kind of thing.
Yeah.
You literally have to do groundwork
Yep.
to be able to travel distance.
Yes, precisely. And that's going to be a really good lesson for my children whenever this all takes off the way that I'm expecting it to.
Wholeheartedly agree. I think that's a good value to instill.
Hmm.
Um, moving forward from your distribution and retail experience, what's some of the biggest flaws you see in how the system operates?
As far as distributions go, I would say that the biggest thing is putting people in a position that they don't know what they're doing or what they're looking for. So basically, whenever somebody is trying to ship something out, instead of shipping out the correct product, they always ship out the wrong product, or they constantly mess up and send the incorrect number of items that have actually been ordered. Versus the retail side, it's honestly, a lot of people don't pay their employees enough to deal with the shit that they deal with on a daily basis. I mean,
Yeah,
if you're paying your person pennies on a dollar and you're making a whole dollar, you're you're not going to get anywhere. You're going to lose your employees. Your employees are going to walk, and then you're never going to have another employee for the entire time that you're there.
yeah, it's true. Especially if there's work hazards.
Exactly. Yeah, like if you're driving a vehicle around and you get hit by a semi and you don't have the money to pay for the car, but the company does and the company just lets you drown. At that point in time, that's a problem for the company because you were on company time.
Yes. Yeah, and there's situations where they try anything to alleviate that pressure on them.
Yeah, there will be always some way for a company to get out of it.
Yeah, and
Always.
that's in any industry.
Yeah.
To
That's
clarify, that's
sadly.
definitely not just retail and
Yeah.
distribution.
That's
As
that's
much
with
as I
any
wish.
industry period.
Did you appreciate your time spent within these industries though?
Yes, I did. I sure did. It taught me a lot as far as like because as you may know, I was a regional supervisor for a smoke shop and in the area that I live in, and with that being stated, like that position taught me how to be better at ordering and inventory management. It just orders and the inventory and things along those lines. When I went to distribution and actually got the chance to see how distribution functioned, it was amazing. Like I won't even say that it was surreal. It was just amazing, because it was just one of those things that I never thought I'd ever get to see something behind the scenes of the actual like the way that the shops function and the way that the shops constantly get inventory. Seeing how the inventory is done up there versus the inventory in-house is two totally different ball games.
Oh, I'd agree. Some of those producing manufacturing plants, they're just mind blowing. Like the tech that is involved, the mechanics that are involved. I don't
Yes.
know personally that industries manufacturing as much, but I do know that with most commercial industries, it's very impressive.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong about that at all. Like, every place has got their very own specific thing. Like when I worked for Golden Donuts manufacturing facility, I was the regional supervisor. No, not regional supervisor. I was the supervisor over the third shift at the Golden Donuts manufacturer in Columbus, Georgia. Okay. And whenever I was doing that, I got to learn a lot about how many donuts were processed a day. You want to know how many donuts we put out in a single day? In 8 hours. Just 8 hours.
No, it's got to be 2,000.
Oh no, my friend. You're
Oh, it's
thinking
probably way
small.
more.
It's a
Yeah.
lot more. It's a lot more. But try over 9 million donuts
Oh
processed in a day.
goodness. Whoa. That's a
Yeah,
number I never thought I'd see in my donut eyes.
dude, it was the worst. I worked there for almost a year and a half, and literally for the next year and a half afterwards, my clothes still smelled like donuts. It was the worst thing I had ever experienced.
Oh, I'm sure that would be terrible. Smelling the
Dude.
donuts, can't eat anything.
Oh no, you could
You're-
eat them. You could
Oh,
eat them
you
off the
could?
line. It didn't matter.
Oh,
You could
no
just reach
way.
over, grab the donut, pick it off,
Maybe
eat
that's
it. Boom.
worse.
But that's the problem. It's worse because then you get burnt out on the donuts, and now you don't want to eat donuts.
Uh, yeah, I could never do that. That would break
Yeah,
my donut heart.
it's so bad, dude. It's so bad.
On that note, what was your worst customer service experience?
You remember how I said the social anxiety would get explained? Congratulations, we made it to the question, my friend. So
Oh, no.
basically, what ended up happening was is I was working for this company called Total Systems. Okay. I was in the fraud outbound services. So basically, meaning that if somebody's card was put on hold, I would get their account, I would take a look at the account, find where the fraud looked like it was at, and then I would give them a phone call. Well, yeah, I call this guy and he's like, "Yeah, no, my card got locked." And I'm like, "That, I can't just unlock your card. We have to go through a specific set of standards here, and I've got to take you through this list, and we'll find out." And he starts screaming at me, just full on screaming, and I'm like, "Okay, I'm trying to help you. Please, calm down. Stop screaming at me."
No
And
kidding.
he started like screaming more and talking about he wanted to speak to my supervisor, he wanted to speak above me, and asked me to like basically didn't ask but demanded me to escalate it. So at that point in time I said, "Okay, give me a second," put him on hold, walked over to like the person above me and asked her to take over the call. She said she wasn't going to do it at first. And then I was like, "Okay, this guy's not going to take that for an answer. You need to take this call." She goes, "I'm not taking it unless you're there for 15 minutes. I had to sit on the phone with this guy for like 10 to 15 minutes before she came over there and took the headset and took care of it.
That's brutal.
You want to talk about stressful? That's stressful, my man. Like that right there is what caused a lot of the social anxiety that's been created for today and for my future after that situation. It's been really hard to handle like um phone calls for the most part. Typically when I'm talking to somebody on the phone or even down to Discord, um I'll typically pace back and forth in the room or I keep my hands moving or something along those lines because of the nervousness.
Yeah, that's a fair thing to experience. Social anxiety, I feel like these days is only increasing,
Yes,
especially when
because
people don't practice.
whenever people don't practice their own, like they're trying to be nice portion. You know, a lot of people nowadays, you have so many Karens and Kevins out here that just don't care. They'll do anything to hurt another person just because of the factor that they didn't get what they wanted.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd agree.
I'm sorry for cutting you off. That's my bad.
Oh, no, you
ADHD.
didn't cut me off. You didn't cut me off at all. I just would presume that you would have hoped it would have never happened, that experience.
No.
Or are you kind of glad that it happened?
I'm glad it happened because now I understand how to handle that situation. You know, now if somebody starts screaming at me in my job, or if I'm working at retail, for instance, if somebody gets upset and starts yelling at me, I know how to handle that situation for the future.
Now, do you wish that you had been put in that situation rather than thrown in? Or do you think there's a value to being thrown in sometimes?
I mean, I wish that I'd have been eased into it and told, hey, look, not everybody's going to be nice when you answer, when you call them. Because I was told in the beginning, oh no, everybody's so happy when we call them because we're just helping them stop, you know, fraud from being on their account. And I'm like, okay, cool. So everybody's going to be really chill and it's going to be an easy job. This ain't going to be nothing major, you know, and it's not going to cause any lasting effects. And
No,
then
I
all
could
of a
see how
sudden,
that
out of the
could go
blue,
crazy.
and then I get slapped in the face by this guy over the phone, and I'm confused, you know, sitting there looking at
Uh,
my hands going, why am I doing this to myself?
oh my goodness. Yeah, that's a little intense.
Yeah, it was crazy. Um, I don't wish that it happens to anybody else, you know, and that's kind of my message to the world is I want to make sure that people are, you know, taking advantage of being kind and giving that honesty out. Because if you, the more kindness you put out into the world, the more kindness you get in return.
Yes. Yeah. What goes around comes around.
Precisely. Also known as karma.
Yes. Yes, it's something to keep in mind. I
Yeah.
try to value respect, especially in the workplace, because
Well,
it's it's important to understand people are there, like maybe not with the best circumstances. You really never know.
yeah. It's just like one of those things though where, you know, people don't care anymore. And that's the problem that we're running into constantly. When people don't care, when people just want to do what they want to do whenever they want to do it and they take it out on, you know, the people behind the counter or people behind the phone, automatically that's just like, dude, why? Why would you do that? You know what I mean?
Yes. I think it's cognitive dissonance. Um, let's let's see. I'm checking the definition. Yeah, lack of harmony resulting from the combination of two disharmonies. So
Yeah.
in a sense it is kind of like cognitive dissonance. Because you're not balanced with yourself, therefore your environment around you becomes hostile.
Yeah. And then you take that hostility out on the other people around you.
I think that's where most of the hate, the blind hate for the 9 to 5 comes, is this sense of urgency, like, oh well, I should be at a better place, should be at a better position. But sometimes it takes being in those tough spots to understand the good spots are worth the grind. At least that's how I view it. It's not always easy. We're only human, but if you can at least put yourself in the mindset of growth, then like it doesn't matter when you're working, you're improving. You're
Yeah.
pushing yourself. You're taking that extra leap forward to
Yeah,
try
that's
to
the
progress.
biggest thing though, is attempting to progress and pushing yourself to progress. That's the main thing you need to do, honestly. Because like if I was the same person that I was what, 8 years ago, I would not be where I'm at now. You know, I'm
I feel
working
that.
on like merch and stuff like that now, and like it's crazy.
Yeah, it's what you put your mindset to. It really is important to build a good base, a foundation to work and build off of. And
Yep.
that's kind of what I've been trying to do. I'm not exactly delighted on my progress, but I'm also taking my circumstances into play and into account. And it's like the brainstorming phase takes a while sometimes.
Well, no, let
Um,
me ask you a question real quick. What do
yeah.
you consider progress?
I would consider progress to be a point in time where you're demonstrating growth in your life.
Okay. All right. All right. So, when a baby learns to walk, that's progress.
Yes.
Okay. And when a baby learns to crawl, that's progress.
Yes.
So you're already on the first step. You're crawling. You're progressing right now.
Yes. That is
There
a
will
very
always
good value.
there is always going to be progress. You are progressing. You are doing more than some people. And how long have you been doing this?
We've been operating stuff for like 4 months.
Okay, so in 4 months, you've already gotten a full-blown Discord that's already set up, ready to go. You've got, people inside the Discord. You have a lot of people in this Discord. Why would you ever think that you're not progressing? You want to know how long it took me to develop mine?
Yeah, I think that would be good to share.
It took 9 years for me to finally build up the courage to build my own Discord.
It's a process for everyone, and that's kind of to swing it back to the workforce. Like my whole point with that is it's situational. There's so many situations, even with customers. Like maybe you'll make a mistake. Maybe you'll feel like you don't have the answer to their question, and you say something silly, and that upsets them.
Yeah, no,
Um,
and that's likely. And there's been plenty of times where I've done something quote unquote funny to me and all the rest of the people inside of a shop. But there's this one person that doesn't like what I said. And that's
yes,
going to happen. There's always going to be a conflict of interests.
but I very much appreciate that analogy.
No, that's not a
That
problem, dude. Think about it this way, though. You've got to like if you think everything that you're doing right now is not progression, you are incorrect, my friend. You've done more than I did in 4 months.
it's yeah, it's hard not to be hypercritical when you're um
When you're
very
judging your
active.
own.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
trust me, I get it. When you're judging your own thing, of course you're going to be like that. But you have to think, man, it's going to come around because you're already putting in so much more into this than I was doing 4 months into me creating this. Like I stated, I created this channel back in 2012.
yeah, and I think what you've done with BroseNation is awesome. Honestly, I think you are gonna find new growth. At least I really hope you stick with it because
Oh,
I enjoy seeing you in an active state. Like you're a very good person, Brose.
well, I appreciate that. I wouldn't say that I'm good. I'd just say that I'm normal. Well, not really normal. I'm the oddball in, okay?
I suppose good is a odd word at times.
Yeah.
But it is you're a very balanced individual. I feel like you're approachable, and that's again, like, to reiterate what you were saying, like that's more than other people are doing at times.
Yeah.
A lot of people can be locked up these days from
Yeah.
conversating with random people. Um,
Yeah.
I mean, I notice that with just customers. Like I'll say, hey, or even coworkers I don't work with, like, hey, how's your night? Like you don't get a response. Um,
Yeah.
it it's just awkward out there. So the more people can come together, I feel like the better the work environment generally becomes.
Yeah, of course.
So I do appreciate that value. But do you have an interest that you would like to share your voice impressions?
Oh Lord. So, I've got about 15 voices that I can do, generally speaking. And voice impressionist is something that I was striving to be. I was doing it on my streams. I was doing it on my YouTube channel. I think I would say that my top 4 voices right now would be Herbert the Pervert, Morty from Rick and Morty, Meatwad from Aqua Team Hunger Force, and Stitch from Lilo and Stitch. I can do all 4 voices damn near perfectly.
Would you like to demonstrate?
Which one would you like me to demonstrate, if not all 4?
Well, let's start with Herbert the Pervert.
All right, so we'll start with Herbert. So Herbert is. So I see we have ourselves a muscular on paperboy just coming on by to bring me some good news.
It's so perfect. That's a very good impression.
Yeah, and like I stated, like, you know, I've done a lot of different things throughout my life, and I've watched a lot of different videos, and I've watched a lot of cartoons as I was a kid, you know. So basically it just kind of grew on me to learn voices, and it was like a natural talent for me to just pick up a voice and learn it and then throw it out there into the world.
It's super unique. Every voice impressionist has their own take because we all have different voices and different perspectives.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean that's part of why I love music.
Yep.
Especially
Music
the covers.
is the same way.
Yep. Tone is an important thing in the human language.
Mm-hmm. That's very valid.
Is there one impression that is like your absolute favorite to perform? That's maybe not your best, or would you typically say your
that would
best
definitely be the Master Roshi voice from Devil Artemis Universe.
Oh
So
man,
it's I don't know if you guys have heard of Team 4-Star before, but Team 4-Star had this guy that played Master Roshi and Perfect Cell on the DBZ Abridged series. And I've learned the Master Roshi voice to a point where it sounds almost identical to what he sounds like in his actual channel.
would you like to share?
Oh Lord. I need to keep it PG-13.
Yes.
Yeah, see, I'm trying to remember that because his
It's okay. It's
his
okay.
channel isn't PG-13.
It's okay. It's something I understand. Like that
Yeah,
might be a
so
hard one to
in
figure out.
that case, here's what I'll do. I'll give you a little clip of it. I'm not gonna do the main portion of it, but what I will do is I will do a clip of it, a clip of the voice acting. So that way you at least get a feel for the character and you understand that it does sound very similar to Master Roshi. But the biggest thing is that I can't go too far with it because if I do, I'll probably get you shut down.
No, you're fine. You're fine. You can always edit it too.
Oh, it's valid. I forgot about editing.
Yeah,
So
I
basically,
edit.
though,
So.
with Master Roshi's voice, it's hold on. So there I was, back to back with Jesus, a Bible in my right hand and some machine gun on the left. He's
well done. It's
it's
well done.
very groggy. It's a very groggy voice. So you have to take you like put a little gravel in your voice and then on top of it make sure it's high pitch.
Yes, it's pretty amazing how we can alter our voices.
I've always loved doing it. Like when I was a kid, I used to sit there and try to learn how to do different voices. One of the voices that I'm still trying to learn is Ryan Reynolds, and it's gonna be such a pain in the ass.
I could see it though. I could see you doing that.
I think I could. I just have to listen to him because basically what I do is to get the ability to do a voice, I have to listen to that voice for at least an hour and a half, 2 hours. The shortest amount of time that I learned a voice was probably Venom from the new movie Venom. I learned his voice in 30 minutes or less.
Whoa.
Yeah. It's
Man.
very raspy though, so it really hurts the vocal cords. Morty's voice, I learned it by just playing around with, an idea. I had an idea for okay, how high pitch can I get my voice? And then I also went with like I learned how to do the stutter from him and everything else. Perfect.
Yeah, your Morty impression is really on point.
Yeah, my Morty impression is really good. My Rick impression, it's okay.
Yeah, he's a tough one.
Yeah, he's
a tough
hard
one.
because his voice is so like gurgly.
Yes, it's nasty. Like
It's
I don't
really
know
nasty.
how Justin Roiland got the voice always on point like that.
He was
But
drunk.
that would make sense.
Yeah, like actually, like literally, they have back behind the scene things where they were showing Justin Roiland doing the actual voice impression for him, and he always had a beer in his hand and was drinking.
Yeah.
So
that
that makes sense.
yeah, that connects the dots for me. So, bros, what's your greatest plan for the future of your content?
The greatest plan for the future of my content?
Yes.
Oh, well, see, it goes back to the community. You know, I want to create a space where people can be themselves. They can be themselves. They can come in without having to worry about external, problems like like abuse.
Yeah.
Because when I was younger, I went through a ton of abuse. So basically, I wanted to make sure that the people out there that were like me when I was a kid and went through all of that and all the trauma and all of that extra stuff, I did not want them to grow up feeling like they were alone like I did for so long. And that's the reason I even started BroseNation, was to make sure that people were able to um, find a place where they could be themselves and feel accepted and not have to worry about whether or not tomorrow's the day or whatever. I want to make sure that people are okay, even if that means me sitting there creating content that makes me look like an idiot.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because at the end of the day, if they're happy, if I can change just one person's life at the end of the day, that right there is progress for me.
Yeah, yeah, and that's your level of progress uh you like to instill in yourself.
Yep.
I can understand that. Yeah, I can totally understand that. Is there something that really drives you forward in this journey? Like something external, a mentor, like
Like the person that has basically inspired me to do this.
yeah, is there anyone that you would accredit to giving you inspiration?
Markiplier. Honestly, like
Yeah.
hands down. Um, Throughout some of the hardest times in my life, whenever I was, growing up, after I'd already turned like, um, I think Markiplier first came out around 2012, 2011, if I'm not sadly mistaken.
Um
And
I think you're right.
I've been following him ever since he started. Like I seen a couple of his videos on YouTube. I subscribed to him, and he just kind of drove me forward from that point. Because him and himself, he was huge. Like he was just a huge portion of the joy that I got out of my life. Out of the life that I had started to live and the people that I had started to meet, and it just became more and more. It became more and more like
An organic connection.
yeah, because like I'm not gonna say that he went through some stuff that I went through. Never gonna say that because I don't know what he went through in his life. I mean, he talks about things from here and there about what happened in his life, but you
Sure.
never know the fullest of the darkest past. You only
Yeah.
know what people give you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Um, and that's the thing is like, I don't know what he may have went through as a child. So at the biggest thing is like just because of the factor that he helped me without trying to help me through his funny videos, I feel like I could do the same thing for people that I want to reach out to help them.
Yes. I understand that connection to watch and be part of a community is to be influenced by that same community.
Yeah.
I think this is pretty cool about YouTube. That's why I've always stuck around, because it's special, man. Like
Yeah.
having a
And
sense of connection, especially when like a content creator dies. You can tell there's real affection with people. Like
yeah,
not everything's bad. Not everything's bad. You just
like
have to stick
Techno,
through the tough parts.
like
Yes.
Technoblade. I've been watching Technoblade for a long time too.
Oh
So
yeah. And I don't know if you remember Grant Thompson, the king of random.
yeah, I remember him.
Yeah.
I started watching him the first time he built a foundry.
Me too, man.
Yeah.
That like I watched that same video. That I loved that video. I saved it. I was so excited. I'm like, I'm gonna build that, man. Like
Yeah,
he
like
was
that's the
one of the
thing
greats.
though is like that's the type of content that people don't expect to see. You know, is like somebody helping somebody else for no gain,
Yes. I
and
mean,
that's the
it's
biggest thing.
beautiful, man. It's beautiful. Like that's eventually like I've always wanted to be part of the scam baiting community, um, to try to help alleviate scams.
Yeah,
And it is one of those things like modding. Like there's no definitive point to start. Just kind of have to pick up things as you go.
yeah, that's
Um,
true.
so, but that's like the reason, because of watching so many inspirational people like actually doing the groundwork. Um, it's cool, man. Like it's genuinely admirable work. Like
Crazy,
and at
that's for
that
sure.
level, it is work. I mean, these people put in hours to
Yeah,
get this stuff
they do.
produced.
Like, there's a guy on YouTube that I just seen not too long ago. He does packages. Like people will walk up and steal a package, and instead of it being a package, it's a fucking
Oh,
glitter
it's a
bomb.
glitter bomb.
It's a
Hmm.
glitter bomb with like fart spray and all kinds of other crap.
Yeah, I think that's Mark Ruberg, or
Yeah, Mark Ruber. He's
yeah,
absolutely amazing at what he does as far as the scam calls go and
he's one
everything
of the
else
best,
goes.
man.
He's
He
really good.
I love him and Jim Browning and the Trilogy Media. Trilogy Media basically like recruits people in other countries to be insiders.
Yeah.
Um, and they just they're one I want to reach out to eventually. I'd love to interview them because
Oh, dude,
they
you'll
just
get it.
have so
You'll get
many
that.
fascinating stories.
You'll get that chance. Trust me on that one.
Yeah, I really there's something about that side of the community that pulls to me. Like I I'm adventurous for
Yeah, of course.
it.
Yeah, I mean, there's always some sense of adventure, especially when you're looking at multitudes of communities across the entire board.
Yeah, man. And I do believe in the power of like we like having people, a community. Community is always going to be stronger than the individual at the end
Yep,
of the day. So,
for sure.
are there things you'd like to develop more, such as more clothing and merch?
Yes, actually. So I've already started with merchandise. I ended up making some tumblers and I ended up making t-shirts. The tumblers are a 20-ounce tumbler. Some of them are just standard with my logo on the side of it and my name on the side of it. And then I can also have it set up to where people are able to pick it up now online. As long as they're in the US, they can have it shipped to their house, and we can have it shipped to them directly.
Oh, neat.
But yeah, so I've started working on a website. I've got somebody that's been designing my website for me, and they've been helping me along the way with. I've got a person that creates the items for me, and then I give her a part of the profit. You know,
Oh, that's sick.
whatever I buy them for, I try to sell them for. You
Okay.
know, because I'm not trying to put a lot of money in my pocket. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah, you're
I'd
trying to
much
be fair to
rather.
the artist.
Yeah, I'm really fair to the artist. I literally talked to her and she was like, "No, you could sell this for this much." And I was like, "No, I'm just going to sell it at the margin that you've got." I was like, "Because if anything, it's just my stuff. Like it's literally not even my stuff. It's your stuff that you created with my logo on it."
You're right.
Yeah. But I am working on I'm working on a hoodie pattern. I'm working on sweatpants, socks, and things like that. I'm thinking maybe at 1,000 followers on YouTube and Twitch, I'll be dropping the socks or the hoodies or whatever, and every milestone afterwards, I'm gonna drop a piece of new merch.
Nice. I think that's a good approach.
Well, yeah, I mean, hoodies are
Oh,
uh,
yeah. A lot of
hoodies.
that.
Just a blank hoodie can cost anywhere between $15 to $30, depending on the material.
Yeah.
It's very expensive. So even just to get that process started, it's going to be a pain in the ass. What I was thinking about doing was doing some limited edition things, which I've already done 2. I've gotten 2 glow tumblers, and those 2 glow tumblers went to my parents. They bought a tumbler from me, and the tumbler itself is limited edition because they're the only 2 that I will ever make with a green and auburn glow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That sounds like it really illuminates.
Yeah, so basically, if you hit it with UV light or a UV lamp, or you can hit it with a UV black light, and it will glow for the next, what is it? I think 6 hours, 3 hours, something like that.
Whoa.
I think it's either 3 to 6 hours, something like that, from what I understand.
That's an intense duration.
Yeah, it's very nice. They're very nice cups. Like I stated, they're tumblers too, And I'm working on another. I know that me and my producer, excuse me, the product person that I'm using, the person that's making the product. It just doesn't sound right either way I go. The manufacturer. There we go.
It's
The
okay.
the manufacturer. That's what we'll say. But the manufacturer is creating a new one that's going to be thermal instead of it being glow. So basically, instead of it being set up as a glow, it's going to be a thermal one where if the heat is high, it'll change the color and then it'll drop down. I know it's currently 4 months out before we even get that in, but it's something that is being offered soon.
That's rad. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's rad.
It's cool. It's really cool to see some of this, the design for these.
What inspired your logo design?
Speaking of the logo design, so actually, if you take a look at the T-shirts or the cups, actually the cups don't have it on it. Damn it. Oh, that's not good. I have to talk to her about that, but that's okay. Sorry.
Oh, you're fine. You're fine.
I just looked at the cup over here and I just seen that it didn't have it on it. But basically, if you look at the T-shirts and if you look at the hoodies, if you look at the pictures and stuff like that I have for it, in one of the hairs coming off the side of its neck, you'll see that the signature is there. I had somebody, one of my followers, they made the logo for me, and the logo is a ferret with a pair of headphones on, gaming headphones. Because most people actually, believe it or not, associate ADHD with a squirrel or a ferret because attention deficit, ooh, looks shiny. That's the first thing that comes to people's minds. So that's what they do is they associate it with something that's going to run off in the middle of the street because,
Sure.
you don't have a very high focal point whenever it comes down to what you want to do because you're all over the place all of the time.
Yeah, that's valid.
So that's literally the reason it was created, was specifically because of the factor that I have the attention span of a ferret.
Well, that is unique and something you don't see a lot of. I don't see a lot of ferret mascots. Honestly.
That's kind of the whole thing is I'm also working on, as soon as I get the chance to, I'm planning on getting an actual ferret that I can have as my actual mascot.
Well, on that note, do you feel like being hyper is a good quality for streaming?
Yes and no. Okay. because the reason I say yes is because you're always going to have the attention. It's always going to cause the people to look at you in a way that you never expected. However, no, because half the time you don't even remember that you're streaming. You forget that you're streaming. Like, I'll be in the middle of the live stream playing the game, not even thinking about it. Look over and I've got 50 messages, and I'm like, "Oh, hi guys. I'm sorry. I forgot y'all existed." Like, I'm not even trying to be funny in that scenario, but it's the truth.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh,
it
it
just
happens.
I'm not saying that, it's something that's I'm not gonna say that it is something that is a horrible thing, but I will state that um it does have its perks and it does have its cons. It's got pros and cons just like everything does. But having ADHD and being hyperactive during the game can lead to some funny moments, and it can also lead to hilarious issues that you cause with your team. Because there's
That's
been
fair.
plenty of times where I've been sitting there playing stuff like Warframe, and I decided that instead of running what we needed to run, I was going to run something else and make it run what we needed to run. So, like, I would take, like, for instance, in Warframe, I don't know if you're familiar with Warframe, but and if the viewers
Yes,
are going to be familiar with Warframe. But
perhaps.
to give you a general idea, Warframe is Space Ninjas, and the way Space Ninjas works is I'm sorry, my brain just glitched. Space Ninjas works with you have three main types of frames. You have your tanky boys, you have your damage frames, and then you have your healing frames. Okay, so I took. Well, actually, no. There's the control frames too. So you have four. So you would normally run a Vauban or something along those lines, and instead I ran a Nidus, and I used the Nidus spaghetti build to use it in a fashion to where I could actually control the area that we needed to have controlled.
So you were able to balance that out.
Of mods, that's it.
No, that makes sense.
I'm
Is
sorry I
that?
went on a rant.
Oh, it's okay. It's okay. Is that one of your favorite games? Is Warframe?
It I wouldn't call it my favorite game of all time. Because with ADHD, you get fixated on a game until you beat the game or until you complete the game, and then you switch up to the next game. But
Yeah.
I've clocked, I think on PlayStation, I've clocked um 28, 30, it's like 28 or 2900 hours
Wow.
on Warframe. Yeah, like, and
Which
that's
is
just like
anyone. Oh, I'm sorry. And anyone
so
who's not familiar with the Warframe, that's a
game where you have to do a lot of grinding to get a lot of resources, and you have to get those resources, and you have to basically dump them into Warframes. You have to build a Warframe. Typically, Warframes take um, 72 hours to build the actual frame, but you have to build each individual part, which takes about 12 hours to build. So you have 12 hours to build the frame parts, and then you have 72 hours afterwards to build the actual Warframe.
yes, which is a process to do all that.
Yes, so there's a lot of
Right.
hours that you could put into the game, though, and honestly, it's a blast. However, I will suggest that if new players start to play Warframe, understand you will not get strong quickly, and it's really hard to progress in the first planet if you don't have teammates to run with. So don't try to solo it because it will take you forever to get through
Yeah,
it.
that's fair. Yeah, you do need a good team.
Yeah.
Have you had any experiences or moments that made you feel like you had to work harder for your goals?
Yes. Always. I've always felt like there was something that I needed to do more. Like, and a lot of this stuff that has happened, with the channel and everything, um, like to progress towards those goals have always been a struggle for me because either A, I'm not attentive towards the viewers, or B, I just don't have the drive to stream the day I need to stream. Like I'm trying to get better with that and trying to work towards getting that drive fixed. That's the reason why I now have a schedule to stream. Um, I just have to tell everybody because, yeah.
You're trying to keep yourself accountable.
Yes, I'm trying to keep myself accountable for everything because, I've noticed that because I've started this schedule and started streaming on specific days, I've started to get more views and I've gotten more people to come in and say hello and stuff like that. So being more consistent with it is going to be able to create a better, what's the terminology? A better
Like
outcome.
cohesion. Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to create a better outcome in the long run.
Yeah, that's valid. Very valid. I would say that structure is one of the most important things I've heard when it comes to content.
Yes, it's about not only the structure, but it's also about consistency.
Yeah. Yeah, at
Yeah.
least if you run with something like and you put yourself out as something like at least run with that for a short period
Yeah,
and
that's
stay
just like
stable.
I've noticed that with Destiny 2 here recently, it's a lot easier to get more viewers with if you're playing Crucible versus PvE, unless you're doing like raids and you're trying to go for like world record raids,
Yeah.
which honestly, it's almost impossible to do world record raids unless you have a really, really, really good team or coherent team, I should say. Because
Well,
just yesterday, I spent 3.5 hours playing one raid.
oh wow.
Yeah, it was bad. It was really bad.
Well, my cousin he actually plays Destiny too a lot. And
Okay.
I should get you connected with him. Guys could run raids together. I'm eventually gonna get into it as well soon.
Yeah, I've started learning about the raids. My first raid was actually yesterday.
Oh wow, so you're newer.
I've never been raiding before. I've only done like the standard, stereotypical, just run the campaign, run the PvE, and I never really messed with any PvP. I never really messed with any of the raids. I just ran PvE standard games. That's it.
Yeah,
And here recently, I've been working towards doing more towards the actual gaming.
that's fair. I hear there's good content to the game now, so
Yeah.
it is expensive. That's the only thing.
Yeah,
But
so you're not wrong about that
with
one.
modern gaming,
Lightfall though, it did bring a lot to it. Lightfall did. With Strand coming out, it's been a very interesting gameplay experience. Because I've seen moments where people have used Titans, and the Titan can do his the I think it's called Thunder Crash, where he charges up. He's got his ultimate, and he can launch across the map. And if you really wanted to be that guy, you could just grapple onto him with the Strand, grappling onto them, and then you fly behind them at the same speed that they're moving.
oh wow.
It's fun. It's a blast.
When you work on content, is there anything that helps put you in the grind mentality?
Honestly, not really. As far as like the grind mentality goes, it's not a I would say probably food. You eat beforehand, you don't think about the food anymore. You know what I mean? As
Yeah.
long as your stomach's full, you've got everything you need, yada yada yada, it should be good. You should be going fine. Everything should be all right. That's the way I look at it anyways.
Yeah, that makes total sense. Just have a balanced day, so to speak.
Yeah, generally speaking, yeah. Like honestly though, like I wouldn't say that there's anything external other than like eating before the stream that would cause me to be more into it, more active with it.
Yeah, that's fair. Um, are there any books, shows, or podcasts you'd recommend for anyone listening?
Um, well, my first statement would be I would automatically suggest our podcast, the one we're currently doing. Not just because of me, but because of the other people that you've done podcasts with. There are plenty of people out there that definitely need to have their voice heard, as far as podcasting goes. However, I would suggest that if you're going to watch a new TV show or anything along those lines, I don't know if you guys have Netflix at home. If you do, go ahead and pop up The Good Place. It's really good. I didn't think I was going to like it at all, but it actually had a lot of twists and turns I was not expecting. That one's a really good show to watch. Then you have the new one that I'm watching called Shadow and Bone. It's really good too. I'm still on the first, like, I just got out of the first season. I'm on the second season now. It's actually really good as well. And then The Magicians. It ends, it's got 6 seasons, but it's still really good. Oh, excuse me, it's got 5 seasons. Excuse me, my bad.
No, that's all good stuff.
Yeah, The Magicians was really, really good. I was not expecting it to be good at all.
How about your podcast, Brose?
I haven't been doing anything on that podcast, honestly. It's been a struggle here recently just to even get the content made for my YouTube and my stream, my Twitch and stuff. So I haven't been really focusing on the podcast. Like, I did do a podcast for a while there, and there was an issue that occurred where one of our members dropped out of the podcast. So now,
no.
yeah, so now we're trying to figure out what we're going to do, if we're just going to continue with 3 people or if we're just going to call it a day.
Yeah, I would say continue. Personally, I think the concept, even with 3 people, could be good.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I'm worried that, that person will come after us later on.
For the concept?
Yeah, for the content that they had created in the beginning with us.
Well, you could do a clean slate. That would be the one thing I think that would.
Yeah, we can wipe the content, that's for sure.
Yeah, but yeah, ultimately your choice. I just would hate to see a podcast group lose out on the opportunity while you have the group together.
Right.
I just anything to live in the moment. To be able
I
to
got
create
that.
in the moment makes total sense. Like, I think you definitely have good conversation though.
Some people would disagree.
Well, people would disagree with anything. People
That's
think the
valid.
earth is flat. So
That is a valid point.
Are there any other things you'd like to share about your experience with any other jobs you have happened upon?
Like what exactly?
Like anything that you would think would be an interesting experience to share. Like maybe you were a fish cleaner or a house cleaner, like something obscure not everyone does.
I mean, I guess that would be the one thing that I did work. I worked for Total Systems, and not in the fraud analyst department this time. I was in the mail sort facility, and basically, the mail sort facility was 4 giant machines that would sort through your mail. And the thing is like, a lot of people don't know this, but the machinery, whenever you look at a piece of mail, there will be a barcode printed on it, and there will be like a number. It'll be like 073 or 075 or 291 or 237. Each side is about 120 pockets. Okay.
Huh.
So you got 120 on one side, 120 on the other, and the machine itself is designed to sort through your mail and sort the mail out by state and by zip code.
Oh, wow.
The cool thing about this, like when I was working there, was that I learned how the actual mailing facility works, and you can always tell where the mail was shipped out of by the code on the front of it. Some of the codes, like I know that the one down here was TPX and TPR. Those 2 were made in Columbus, but I think those machines have been moved to Ohio because they shut down the mail sort facility.
Oh, wow.
I want to remind you, I was also a temporary at that company for 2 years. And for the last 8 months that I was working there, I was riding a skateboard back and forth to work. From Phoenix City to Columbus, Georgia.
Oh my gosh.
That was a blast. It was about a 4-hour walk.
Jeez.
Yeah.
It's at least you enjoyed your time doing that.
Oh, I enjoyed it, and the thing is that the reason I got fired from that company was some BS.
It happens. It happens.
Yeah.
What's the biggest factor that helps you interact with others when it comes to conversation?
It just really depends on their vibe, honestly. Like, for instance, if you would have came in whenever you did and you talked to me about your podcast and everything, once you came in and started talking with me, it was a different vibe. There's people that have a thing about them that you don't really want to speak to them. And typically, I'm really good at just talking to people in general whenever it comes down to opening up. Like, in the beginning, it's kind of standoffish, and then I try to open up a little bit. And most of the time, I accidentally give out too much information because ADHD. But
It's a variable.
yeah, it's a variable. It's a variable to everything. But it's one of those things where, as far as like people with ADHD, it's easier to talk to somebody with ADHD than it is with somebody that doesn't.
Yes.
Because a lot of the times, whenever somebody has ADHD and then they talk to you about it, you're able to relate easier to somebody with ADHD versus somebody that doesn't have it. Because it's harder for people, non-neurodivergents, to understand how the brain of a neurodivergent works. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, cool.
It's the way you process information, the speed that you process it.
I wouldn't even say the speed. It's just the categorization. Because there was an old saying that I'd heard about, and it was talking about boxes. And inside of inside the brain, you have a bunch of different categories, right? And each category is separated by a box. Those boxes never touch, so that way they don't cause you to freak out. And the best way to explain it would be, if you're talking to a person with ADHD, they can take a box down, set it on the floor, open it up for a second, forget what they were looking for, leave that box there, go to the next box.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
You
valid.
know,
And
where
that's
most
kind of what I
people
was getting at is like it's not consistent all the time.
exactly, it's never consistent. The brain of an ADHD or neurodivergent person is damn near impossible to be consistent 100% of the time.
I would agree. and sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
No, dude, you're good. You're good.
Is there anything you would recommend to the starting creator?
Yes. Okay. Look, you don't need anything expensive. You really don't. To start off, you don't need much at all. I started off on a PlayStation. Okay. I was recording on my PlayStation from my laptop with an Elgato HD60S. Layman's terms, an Elgato HD60S is going to be a capture card that has 3 to 4 ports on it. Okay, most of the time I didn't use the fourth port, which, because it was an auxiliary port, you just plug it into your microphone, or you plug it into your headset microphone, and then you plug it into the box. Okay, but it has 3 main ports on it that you need. It's got an input, an output, and an actual power cable. The input is where the video is coming from. So it would be coming from the PlayStation to the actual input. Then it goes to the output, to where that output then goes into your television monitor or whatever you're using. You can then record all the data, all the gameplay, and everything else through the Elgato HD60S. And that piece right there is like $120, $160 at Best Buy last time I checked. And that's where I got mine from. That's where I started. That's how I started all of this.
Yeah, it's very affordable.
Yeah, it's affordable. You don't need an expensive laptop. You can go out to Walmart and pick up a laptop that's got the perfect specs to game with for what? I think I spent $500 on mine.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I spent like $500 on my laptop and then came across a guy who wanted to trade me my laptop for the desktop that I'm currently using.
Yeah, you got a deal there.
Yeah. Well, the thing is he was a military guy, and he basically looked me dead in the face and was like, I'm not going to use it. He's like, it's been sitting there in my bedroom for the past 6 months, just sitting there, not doing anything. And I was like, understood.
Yep. You did him a favor by using the thing.
Yeah. And he wanted the laptop, so I gave him the laptop. We traded out. I gave him a laptop that was able to run any game that he wanted to, and then he gave me a desktop that ran way more games than what that laptop could.
Yes, it works out in the end.
Yep. And he literally stated that he was glad that it's working for me and that I'm able to use it for streaming.
That's awesome. Does he watch your stream?
Yeah, he actually pops in every now and then. As a matter of fact, as soon as I tell him that, hey, look, I got a guy right now that, has wanted me to come into this podcast with him and talk with him about some stuff, and I shouted you out, he'll be happy, more than happy to listen to this.
That's awesome, man.
Because honestly, dude, he honestly set me up for success better than what I could have done for myself.
No, that's how I feel about my friend donating the parts for my machine. I really at the moment I was tight on bills and I just really didn't think my laptop would cut it. It's been just an issue, and
I mean,
it is a mental thing.
No, it's
you
all
can
based
work
off
off of
how you
anything.
do it. Yeah, it's all based off of how you work with it. Like, for instance, just for shits and giggles, I'll explain this part. When I first started this, I had a standard plug-in headset that plugged into the controller. That was it, And then I ended up going through and doing everything that I could, and I spent, I think, $500 on my headset. I got a fucking Astro A50 with a mix amp bass. Okay.
Damn.
They're extremely expensive. However, I can hear everything in the game. I can hear somebody's footstep all the way across the map.
Oh, I'm sure.
They're insanely good.
Yeah, Astros are good.
Yeah, they've got different settings on them and everything. I can switch it from PS4 to PC at any point in time. I can take and unplug the bass and plug it into my into my PlayStation and play it on my PlayStation. It's universal all the way around.
Yeah, that's the universal ports are nice.
Yes.
Is there anything you would like to close with? Any thoughts?
Yes. Don't let other people tell you that you cannot do something. Don't let your success be based off of somebody else's failure. Do your thing, be you. And especially if you're starting streaming, if you're just now starting streaming, if you're just now getting into streaming, be yourself. Don't put on this face that you're perfect, because you're not. None of us are. We are all human. We all make mistakes. That is the biggest amount of what's the word I'm looking for?
Advice?
Yeah, that's the best advice that I could possibly give. Thank you. But that is literally the best advice that I could possibly give to anyone starting out. Just be yourself. You don't need no fancy machines. You don't need a fancy ring light. You don't need a fancy camera. All you need is just yourself. Just be you.
I think that's a beautiful closing remark. There is a lot of power behind courage. That's something I've been trying to work on, is my courage and my patience, because those are very important with the growth mindset.
Very much so.
You do have to put yourself out there in uncomfortable situations to become
Always.
Always.
There will never be a time when you cannot put yourself in an uncomfortable position and expect to grow.
Yeah. When you're comfortable, you should be worried about your time.
Yep.
That's how I view it, at least. Always push towards something. Always have some admiration or ambition.
Yes.
To life.
Always have some type of ambition towards moving forward. If you feel comfortable with where you're at and what you're doing, you're obviously not doing well.
Yeah, generally speaking, it's not good to just coddle yourself, because that's kind of what it is at a point when don't um you don't want to express because what you're doing is fine.
Yeah.
You're just limiting your potential, and no one can help you but yourself. I mean, that's a personal journey we all take.
Yep. We all have to work on it. That's for sure. We all have to, progress in our own way and our own mannerisms. And a lot of the times, I think people forget about that.
Absolutely, man. And unfortunately so, but it is a real thing that we have to put up with. And
Yes, sir.
morale is one of the things that I don't think a lot of people consider, but it is a thing, man. Like keeping high spirits, keeping a positive mindset takes you farther than the negative one. I can tell you that much.
That's for sure.
But it's been a pleasure, bros. Truly having you on, and I
I
hope that
appreciate
you
you.
enjoyed it.
Yeah, no, dude, I enjoyed every second of it. I appreciate you asking me to come on here and actually talk with you.
Oh,
I feel
it
like,
has been a journey, and I think we both learned from each other and our banter.
yeah, for sure. I feel like there may be if anything happens and, this could help me grow and it could help you grow in the same time. Um, and if everything happens the way that I think it's going to happen with us both growing, we might have to come back and do another one.
I agree, man. I was just about to say I hope you consider coming on in the future again.
Yeah, not a problem.
My cousin, I don't want to put him in the spotlight, but he is potentially going to co-host with me. So we'll
Hey,
have more people to discuss, and I want to get panels of people eventually on this show.
hell yeah.
When we get it more. Uh, I have a list of 30 people I got to go through right now. So there's a little bit of a waiting game. You know, this is a slow grind, not a fast walk. Podcasting is definitely all about pace. So
Yep.
I'm
It's all
trying
about
to
your
just keep.
patience.
Yep. I'm trying to keep my values instilled, and so far I've been good about staying on top of this. So I'm happy with my progress. I'm happy with this show's going. I've been more than happy with the conversations that have been appearing from it. Um, and this has been seriously so much fun. It's been a pleasure, and I hope everyone viewing has enjoyed as well.
Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of World Networking Podcast. We are going to be dropping Brose's contact info below in the description. If you want to reach out to his Discord or anything, everything should be there. We should be seeing Brose in the future for more shows, hopefully, and more people like him, other streamers, and other people willing to brainstorm. Bring it to me. If you'd like to be on the show, you're more than welcome to reach out. I appreciate you coming by, and I wish you the best day.